adrenaline is pumping. Danny Van Ruyen is on their out lap, warming up the tires and getting ready to put in a fast lap time.
This is the moment they've been preparing for. Let's see if they can execute.
That's the out lap done for Danny Van Ruyen. They'll now look to focus on their first flying lap. Anne-Rose Stadler is on their out lap. This is where the mental game comes into play. Ryan Ludick is taking their time to prepare for their qualifying run.
These are the moments that really matter. Let's see if Ryan Ludick can deliver.
It looks like Ernest Heather is getting ready to make their move. They're taking their time to warm up those tires and get everything just right. You can feel the tension building. Peter Geldenhuys is out on track and getting ready to push for their qualifying time. Peter Geldenhuys has completed their out lap. Anne-Rose Stadler is on their first flying lap.
Let's see if they can put a good marker down.
Anne-Rose Stadler has just completed that lap in 1:09.437. Their best lap so far is 1:09.437, putting them in P2. Will they be able to hold onto that spot? It's all about strategy in these early moments. Justin Vermeulen is taking their time to prepare for their qualifying run and get everything just right. As Justin Vermeulen completes their out lap, they will be HPOING. They have given themselves enough space on track to fully attack for their first flying lap. There are just over 10 minutes left in this qualification session. Pressure is on in this qualifying session, but Ryan Ludick is rising to the occasion.
It's certainly exciting to watch. But let's not forget, the goal is to secure a good starting position for the race.
Ryan Ludick has completed their first flying lap in 1:09.363. Dylan Visagi is not as quick as they were hoping for. They're going to need to dig deep and find some extra pace on this next one if they want to move up the grid.
Well, Mark, they'll need to find those extra tenths of a second by pushing just a little bit harder on the braking and carrying more speed through the corners.
Dylan Bizagi will be happy having put themselves into third in this qualifying session. Chris Foley looks to be off the pace. Annie, what do you think they need to do to improve?
They'll need to put together a perfect lap, hitting every apex and pushing the car to the limit without going over it.
Chris Foley has some work to do, as that 110.538 is only good enough for 11. I think I just saw a blur fly by. Oh wait, that's just Michelle Rust going at lightning speed.
Looks like Michelle Rust is really cooking with gas out there today.
Time to bring out the marshmallows and let's toast some fuel. It's all about precision and speed in qualifying, and Peter Geldenhuys is nailing both.
They certainly are. This is shaping up to be a great performance by Peter Geldenhuys.
Anrose Stadler is not as quick as they were hoping for. They're going to need to dig deep and find some extra pace on this next one if they want to move up the grid.
Well, Mark, they'll need to find those extra tenths of a second by pushing just a little bit harder on the braking and carrying more speed through the corners.
Anrose Stadler will be happy having put themselves into 5th in this qualifying session. Peter Geldenhuys looks to be off the pace. Annie, what do you think they need to do to improve? Ernest Heather is not as quick as they were hoping for. They're going to need to dig deep and find some extra pace on this next one if they want to move up the grid.
They'll need to put together a perfect lap, hitting every apex and pushing the car to the limit without going over it.
There are just over 5 minutes left in this qualification session. Anrose Stadler looks to be off the pace. Annie, what do you think they need to do to improve? Woohoo! Ryan Ludick is really turning up the heat out there. I'm getting goosebumps just watching them go. Chris Foley is not as quick as they were hoping for. They're going to need to dig deep and find some extra pace on this next one if they want to move up the grid. JJ Dearden looks to be off the pace. Annie, what do you think they need to do to improve?
Looks like JJ Dearden is really cooking with gas out there today.
Time to bring out the marshmallows and let's toast some fuel. Ernest Heather is not as quick as they were hoping for. They're going to need to dig deep and find some extra pace on this next one if they want to move up the grid. Ernest Heather has some work to do as that 110.760 is only good enough for 10.
There's still more time to be had, but I dunno if they are going to find it before the session is over.
Michelle Rust looks to be off the pace. Annie, what do you think they need? Anne-Rose Stadler has just completed that lap in 109.437. Their best lap so far is 109.437, putting them in P2. Will they be able to hold onto that spot? Jean Massou is not as quick as they were hoping for. They're going to need to dig deep and find some extra pace on this next one if they want to move up the grid.
They'll need to put together a perfect lap, hitting every apex and pushing the car to the limit without going over it.
Chris Foley looks to be off the pace. Annie, what do you think they need to do to improve?
Looks like Chris Foley is really cooking with gas out there today.
Time to bring out the marshmallows and let's toast some fuel. Jean Massou is not as quick as they were hoping for. They're going to need to dig deep and find some extra pace on this next one if they want to move up the grid.
That's right, it's all or nothing now. They need to stay focused, hit their marks, and extract every ounce of performance from that car to move up the grid.
Anne-Rose Stadler has secured a respectable third in the qualifying session. Can they capitalize on this position and use it as a launching pad for a stronger race performance? A mesmerizing display from Ryan Ludick in this qualifying session. They have left everyone in awe with their speed and precision. Currently leading the pack, they are setting the standard and sending a clear message to their competitors. Ryan Ludick will be happy having put themselves into first in this qualifying session. It's been a challenging day for Chantal de Jager in qualifying. They currently sit in 15th position, which is not reflective of their true potential. With the session nearing its end, they'll need to push hard and extract every ounce of performance to improve their result. Chantal de Jager has some work to do as that 111.235 is only good enough for 15th.
That's not a bad time, but I am sure they can improve further on that.
It's an impressive showing by Danny Van Ruyen, currently in 6th. They've showcased their talent, but will they be able to find those crucial extra tenths of a second to climb higher? Currently in 10th, Ernest Heather has displayed promising speed during the qualifying session. The real test lies in whether they can convert this performance into a higher grid position.
You hit the nail on the head, Mark. Ernest Heather's current position of 10th is a testament to their skill and determination. Now, they must stay sharp to make the most of this opportunity.
JP Brand has put in a great effort and currently holds 8th. With the session winding down, can they unleash their full potential and improve their JP Brand has some work to do, as that 109.470 is only good enough for 8th.
There's still more time to be had, but I dunno if they are going to find it before the session is over.
Incredible drive by Sra Stadler so far, earning them 4th on the grid. However, the competition is fierce. Will they be able to find that extra edge to move up?
You're absolutely right, Mark. Sra Stadler's current position of 4th reflects their strong qualifying performance. Now, they'll need to strategize and capitalize on this starting position.
Sra Stadler will be happy having put themselves into 4th in this qualifying session.
It may be difficult for them to improve further on that. Sometimes trying too hard makes you slower. They need to drive smooth and smart.
Annie, the drivers are ready. Let the racing begin?
Yes, Mark. Let the racing begin.
Starting from pole position is a great opportunity for Ryan Ludick to take control of the race.
They'll be excited at their prospects for this race.
Peter Geldenhuys has qualified 2nd. Starting from the 3rd position on the grid, we have Danny Van Ruyen.
Let's see what Danny Van Ruyen can do.
Lining up in 4th is Sra Stadler.
Sra Stadler will be expecting to bring home solid points.
Taking the 5th spot is Sean Olivier.
Another good start for the Italian driver.
The flag drops, and the race is underway. Drivers now face the challenge of avoiding first lap calamities.
This is where the driver's true abilities will be put to the test. Staying calm and collected while pushing for the lead is the ultimate challenge.
Settling into a rhythm is going to be crucial here. I can't wait to see how this race will play out.
There are a few drivers with a point to prove, and a few with some grudges to bear. Will we see a clean race today?
As we watch the drivers fight it out in the first lap, I can already feel that this is going to be an epic race. The The stewards will be hoping that there aren't too many incidents for them to pick over when the dust settles on this one.
Let's hope they all brought their A games today.
Looks like Michelle Rust is really pushing it to the limit. They're taking those curves aggressively, but that can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curve can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer. It's all about finding the right balance between speed and control. With just 0.4 seconds between them, will Michelle Rust be able to keep up the pace and make a pass?
This is where legends are made. Which driver will rise to the occasion and claim victory?
A misjudgment by either driver could result in a close encounter of the tire barrier kind, and that's one handshake they'll want to avoid.
The Peter Geldenhuys is in trouble.
They're coming up fast on Chris Foley, and there's no way they're going to be able to slow down in time.
Looks like someone needs to tell Peter Geldenhuys that this isn't a demolition derby. That kind of driving just won't cut it at this level. Oh, this is getting intense. Anrose Stadler is just a few car lengths behind Danny Van Rijn.
Sometimes you have to take risks to win, but pushing the car too hard can be a costly mistake. Anrose Stadler needs to be careful not to overdo.
Hold that thought. Hold the phone. I don't think that's the fastest way around Tony Rust, normal layout. The race is heating up as Evan Liu in 13th closes in on Chantal de Jager. The gap is just over a second, and I'm sure they are going to do everything possible to try and close the distance. They're not giving up without a fight. Anrose Stadler could be looking for a way up the inside of Danny Van Rijn. Braking alert. That won't be ideal for Ernest Heather.
Did the wind contribute to that? It's blowing at 10 kph out there right now.
Anrose Stadler is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift. These drivers are walking a tightrope between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely. It's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving. That's where experience and skill come into play. One important aspect here is choosing the right braking points. Anrose Stadler needs to be precise to avoid overshooting and losing valuable time.
Things are heating up as Dylan Visagi closes in on Michelle Rust. The gap between them is down to practically nothing. Superb driving from Dylan. Wait! Looks like that's a mistake from Anrose Stadler. This could be costly. It's a classic case of chasing down the car ahead for Chantal de Jager, who is currently in P10. But JJ Dearden is not making it easy, and the gap remains over a second. This will require some expert driving from Chantal de Jager.
It's moments like these that make motorsports so exciting. We're witnessing a battle of skill and strategy between two great drivers, with Chantal de Jager in 10th determined to catch up. But we know JJ Dearden isn't just going to hand it to them on a plate. Chantal de Jager is going to have to take it. It should be an interesting battle to watch as long as they can close that gap.
JP Brand is on a mission, chasing JJ Dearden, who's desperately trying to stay ahead.
The gap between them is just over 0.4 seconds. Can JP Brand close that gap and get back in range? I can't see it happening at this point.
Wow, JJ Dearden is really pushing hard to catch up to JP Brand. There's blood in the water for 10th place. Evan Liu wants to find a way round Peter Geldenhuys.
To achieve anything in this game, you must be prepared to dabble in the boundary of disaster.
JP Brand is holding 11, but Melvin Gauss is right on their tail. A brilliant maneuver from JP Brand, who has just moved up the field.
Amazing stuff. Focus and precision, what it's all about.
The pressure is really on for JJ Dearden in 11th as Melvin Gauss is closing in. This is where experience and skill really count. The pressure is on for Melvin Gauss as they try to catch up to Ernest Heather.
The gap is 0.
Wait! Oh my, Evan Liu has had an incident. Hold on to your hats, folks. Ernest Heather is right on the heels of Melvin Gauss, and we're in for a wild ride.
When I was racing, we had a saying, if you're not living on the edge, you're taking up too much space. Ernest Heather is definitely living on the edge today.
Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled as they push for every last bit of speed. Look at that, Peter Geldenhuys is hot on the tail of Chantal de Jager. It's neck and neck, the closest battle we've seen in a while. Big gains for Jean Massou as they move up the field, leaving Melvin Gauss behind.
Absolutely, Mark, but there's still a long way to go in this race, and Jean Massou can't afford to get complacent. They have to keep driving with intensity and focus.
This is what high-octane racing looks like. Melvin Gauss is breathing down the neck of Jean Massou, not giving them any room to relax.
And it's not just about skill and talent. It's about who has the nerves of steel to handle the pressure and make the right decisions at the right time.
Melvin Gauss is looking to take advantage of that. Breaking news, folks. Now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line. The intensity is off the charts as Evan Liu hounds JJ Dearden. Both drivers pushing themselves to the absolute limit. It's looking good for Evan Liu, who has gained places and put some distance between themselves and JJ Dearden. The pursuit is on. JJ Dearden is closing the gap on Evan Liu, determined to claim P12. Every move counts now as Melvin Gauss works to reel in Jean Massou and overtake for P10. Fantastic move from Melvin Gauss, who has just gained a position.
Absolutely. Melvin Gauss is really putting on a clinic out there, and they're making it look easy.
A setback for Melvin Gauss, who has just been passed.
That's got to hurt. Melvin Gauss will be kicking themselves right now.
Melvin Gauss is looking for an opportunity to get round Jean Massou.
If you're enjoying the racing, please remember to like and subscribe.
This is where the race gets really interesting. Sean Olivier is closing in on Danny Van Rooyen.
That driver is really pushing the limits. They're riding the curbs and pushing the car to its limits.
Oh, this is getting intense. Melvin Gauss is just behind Jean Massou.
That's right. Melvin Gauss is determined to pass Jean Massou and secure a higher position.
The action is non-stop as Sean Olivier shadows Danny Van Rooyen through every twist and turn, determined to claim second.
With the way Sean Olivier is stalking Danny Van Rooyen, you'd think they're trying to figure out what they had for breakfast this morning.
This is a thrilling battle as Melvin Gauss edges closer to Jean Massou in their fight for P10.
The gap between them is now just over 0.3 seconds. Who will come out on top?
This is what racing is all about. Two fierce competitors pushing each other to the limit.
This battle between Sean Olivier and Danny Van Rooyen is so intense, you could cut the tension with a knife, or should I say, with a front wing.
It's a thrilling pursuit as Melvin Gauss is right behind Jean Massou, keeping the pressure on for 10th place.
Melvin Gauss is following Jean Massou so closely, they could start charging them rent for occupying the same space on the track.
No room for error here. Sean Olivier is breathing down the neck of Danny Van Rooyen, waiting for the perfect chance to make their move. The race is really heating up. Chantal de Jaeger is hunting down JP Brand with everything they've got. Looks like Melvin Gauss is really pushing it to the limit. They're taking those curves aggressively, but that can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer. It's all about finding the right balance between speed and control.
Stop the press. I don't think that's the fastest way around Tony Rust, normal layout.
Tony Rust, normal layout is always a test for these drivers, and sometimes that's the way it goes.
It's a game of inches now as Sean Olivier tails Danny Van Ruyen closely, ready to capitalize on any mistake.
If things go wrong between Sean Olivier and Danny Van Ruyen, they could be exchanging more than just paint, like maybe a strongly worded post-race chat.
This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. Peter Geldenhuys is chasing Chris Foley in P5. Michel Rust is running 9th. They're trying to catch Chantal de Jaeger.
It's all about finding the perfect opportunity. Michel Rust needs to stay patient and wait for Chantal de Jaeger to make a mistake.
An impressive showing from Michel Rust, who has gained positions and left Chantal de Jaeger in the dust. You know, Annie, as a former racing driver yourself, can you give us some insights into what goes through a driver's mind during these quieter moments in a race?
Sure, Mark. During these moments, drivers often take the opportunity to assess their race strategy, monitor their car's performance, and plan their next move. It's all about staying focused and finding the right time to strike.
The adrenaline is pumping as Michel Rust gets within striking distance of Jean Massou in their race for 8th.
This is where the mental game comes into play. Who will keep their cool under pressure? Michel Rust or Jean Massou? It's anyone's race.
Danny Van Ruyen wants to close that gap with Sean Olivier. Things are heating up as Michel Rust tries to close the gap to Jean Massou.
It's a game of strategy now as Michel Rust hunts down Jean Massou. Yes, it's all about choosing the right moments to push and when to conserve energy, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike.
Jean Massou is giving it their all as they chase down Michel Rust in P8.
I think they are going to take them.
It's a close race between Sean Olivier and Danny Van Ruyen in 2nd. The pressure is on for Jean Massou as they try to catch up to Michel Rust.
It's a fine line between pushing the car to its limits and losing control. Jean Massou is really walking that tightrope.
It looks like Sean Olivier is pushing hard to catch up to Danny Van Ruyen. The gap is over a second, but Sean Olivier is not giving up just yet. Can they close the distance and make a move on Danny Van Ruyen?
It's going to be tough for Sean Olivier, as Danny Van Ruyen seems to have found their rhythm. But anything can happen in racing, and we've seen Sean Olivier pull off some impressive moves before. I'm excited to see if they can make it happen again.
It's an intense battle for position as Jean Massou tries to outmaneuver Michel Rust. This is edge-of-your-seat racing.
If this battle ends in tears, it could be like watching a high-speed domino effect, but let's hope they keep it clean and avoid any unplanned games.
This is what it's all about, folks. Michel Rust is in hot pursuit of Jean Massou, who's just trying to stay ahead.
This is what separates the good from the great. The ability to stay focused and perform under pressure.
The crowd is on tender hooks as Sean Olivier in third chases after Danny Van Ruyen. The gap is just over a second, and you can feel the tension in the air. Can Sean Olivier find a way to catch up?
This is where experience comes into play. Danny Van Ruyen has been in this position before and knows how to defend their position. But Sean Olivier is hungry for success and won't give up easily. Will we see a clash of the titans?
Michel Rust has the pedal to the metal chasing Jean Massue.
Do they have the speed for a move, and more importantly, do they have the talent?
Michel Rust is trying their best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Jean Massue at the moment.
Michel Rust needs to pick up the pace for sure, but I don't think they have it in them.
It's a battle of wills out there, with Sean Olivier trying to outsmart and outmaneuver Danny Van Ruyen. The gap is slowly closing, but time is running out. Will we see a dramatic finish to this race? It's game on now. Sean Olivier has closed the gap to Danny Van Ruyen. It's now down to 0.4 seconds. We are used to seeing some hard-fought but clean racing here at SRA. I'm expecting to see nothing different here today as this race unfolds. Sean Olivier is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift. These drivers are walking a tightrope between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely. It's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving. That's where experience and skill come into play. The gap between them is just over 0.4 seconds. Who will have the speed and skill to come out on top?
It's a battle of wills out there, each driver trying to outsmart and outmaneuver the other. And Danny Van Ruyen has just won the place from Sean Olivier. Oh my, Danny Van Ruyen has dropped down to third.
Yes, but they can't give up. There's still plenty of time left in this race, and Danny Van Ruyen needs to stay focused and keep pushing.
The gap between Melvin Gauss in 10th and Michel Rust remains over a second, but Melvin Gauss is not letting up. They're pushing hard and looking for any opportunity to close that gap up. Can they pull it back in the remaining 0 minutes? The fans are on the edge of their seats. It doesn't get any closer than this. It looks like Danny Van Ruyen is making a move. The gap to Sean Olivier is now down to 0.1 seconds.
Exactly what Danny Van Ruyen needed. They can't afford to lose any more ground to Sean Olivier.
The tension is building as Melvin Gauss trails behind Michel Rust. The gap is slowly but surely decreasing, and the pressure is mounting. Can Michel Rust hold on, or will Melvin Gauss be able to close them down?
That's right. Melvin Gauss in 10th knows they have to push to the limit if they want to catch up. But Michel Rust is no slouch, and they're going to be pushing just as hard. It's a battle of skill and will out there.
Danny Van Ruyen seems to be putting the pressure on Sean Olivier.
Can they make it past without taking the paint off?
The best laid plans of mice and men Annie, but it's certainly not going to plan for Danny Van Ruyen right now as they are struggling to keep up with Sean Olivier. Things don't seem to be going Michel Rust's way in this race, as that's a big gap they'll have to close to even be in with a shout for gaining a place here. We got a close battle as Danny Van Ruyen closes in on Sean Olivier. What a move. Danny Van Ruyen has moved up to second.
Impressive. Danny Van Ruyen is really showing their skill and determination out there.
This is where legends are made. Which driver will rise to the occasion and claim victory? It's a tale of two drivers right now, with Sean Olivier gaining places and Danny Van Ruyen losing them.
Absolutely. Sean Olivier is showing great pace and determination, but they can't get too confident. There are still plenty of challenges ahead.
On the final lap now, and Ryan Ludick looks like they might just wrap up this win.
They're not leaving anything on the table.
And it's a checkered flag for Ryan Ludick, who crosses the finish line with a commanding victory. What a phenomenal performance, absolutely dominant today. Sean Olivier never gave up, they drove with heart and determination, ultimately securing a well-deserved second-place finish.
Strong work securing second place. Well done.
That was an outstanding performance from Danny Van Ruyen. They fought hard and took the final spot on the podium.
Fantastic result.
Coming in 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th we have Dylan Visagi, Peter Geldenhuys, Chris Foley, and JP Brand. Taking 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th is Jean Massou, Michel Rust, Melvin Gauss, and Chantel de Jager. 12th, 13th, 15th, and 17th is Evan Liu, Ernest Heather, Anro Stadler, and Ruben Duplessis. Finishing 14th is Justin Vermeulen. drivers are ready. Let the racing begin?
Yes, Mark. Let the racing begin.
Starting from pole position is the best possible outcome for Sra Stadler. Justin Vermeulen is holding down the fort in second place. Ernest Heather will begin the race from the third spot on the starting grid.
A strong grid position, and they'll be expecting a solid result today.
And in the fourth position, it's none other than Evan Liu. Our fifth place starter for today's race is none other than Chantal de Jager.
Chantal de Jager will be taking no prisoners today.
The starting signal has been given, and the drivers face the uncertainty of the first lap. With cars packed tightly together, the potential for spins or collisions is high.
Precision is everything during these initial stages. One wrong move could cost them valuable time or even force them out of the race.
Establishing an early advantage will be crucial to the outcome of this race.
I'm looking forward to burning some rubber here, Mark.
These early salvos will shape the outcome of this race. And they're off. JP Brand is showing some real gusto, making up positions right away. I wonder if they had an extra cup of coffee this morning, Annie?
Talk about hitting the ground running. But, as we know, it's not how you start but how you finish that counts.
It's a steady race for JJ Dearden so far. They haven't made any mistakes, and they are maintaining their focus. Seems like Ruben Duplessis is getting in range of Sean Olivier. Ernest Heather is on a mission, chasing Ryan Ludick, who's desperately trying to stay ahead.
The tension between Ernest Heather and Ryan Ludick is palpable as they battle for P14. No doubt, both drivers know that one mistake could cost them the position. It's a test of nerves as much as skill.
It's a game of cat and mouse out there, with JP Brand trying to find the perfect opportunity to make a move on Michel Rust. The gap is over a second, but every fraction counts. Can JP Brand close in enough to mount a challenge? Things are heating up as Dylan Visagie closes in on Melvin Gauss. The gap between them is down to practically nothing.
If Dylan Visagie pushes too hard,
Breaking alert. That won't be ideal for Jean Massou. Hold on to your hats, folks. Danny Van Ruyen is right on the heels of Evan Liu, and we're in for a wild ride. A great pass for Danny Van Ruyen as they pick off other drivers and move up the field. Hold that thought. Hold the phone. Oh my, Sean Olivier has had an incident. Wow, JJ Dearden is really pushing hard to catch up to Sean Olivier. There's blood in the water for 7th place. The pursuit is on. Ruben Duplessis is closing the gap on Michel Rust, determined to claim P9. Look at that. Melvin Gauss is hot on the tail of Dylan Visagie.
don't forget the role of aerodynamics. Melvin Gauss should use slipstreaming to their advantage and close the gap to Dylan Visagie.
The race is heating up as Peter Geldenhuys in 6th closes in on Evan Liu. The gap is just over a second, and I'm sure they are going to do everything possible to try and close the distance. They're not giving up without a fight. It looks like Sean Olivier is pushing hard to catch up to Peter Geldenhuys. The gap is over a second, but Sean Olivier is not giving up just yet. Can they close the distance and make a move on Peter Geldenhuys? Oh, this is getting intense. Chris Foley is just a few car lengths behind Ryan Ludick.
The mental game is just as important here. Chris Foley must keep their cool while putting pressure on Ryan Ludick.
The crowd is on tender hooks as Melvin Gauss in third chases after Dylan Visagi. The gap is just over a second, and you can feel the tension in the air. Can Melvin Gauss find a way to catch up? Sean Olivier is in sixth, and is being closely chased by Evan Liu, who is just 0.1 seconds behind. The battle is on braking development. Now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line.
Whoops, Melvin Gauss is going to be kicking themselves.
Peter Geldenhuys could be looking for a way up the inside of Sean Olivier.
Rubbing is racing. Let's hope they don't rub it too hard.
Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled as they push for every last bit of speed. Three cars, three different lines. They're jockeying for position, looking for any opportunity to make a move. This is a thrilling battle as Ryan Ludick edges closer to JJ Dearden in their fight for P7.
Can Ryan Ludick close the 0.4 second gap and make a pass?
This is where the race gets really interesting. Ernest Heather is closing in on Ruben Duplessis.
Who will be able to maintain their pace and come out on top?
Big gains for Ernest Heather as they move up the field, leaving Ruben Duplessis behind.
Definitely, but there's still a long way to go in this race, and anything can happen. Ernest Heather needs to keep driving with focus and intensity.
Disappointing for Ernest Heather, they now find themselves in 12th.
Yes, but there's still plenty of race left. Ernest Heather needs to stay calm and focused, and make their move when the time is right.
This is where the skill and experience of the drivers really come into play. Peter Geldenhuys will need to stay focused and keep pushing, even when the gap seems insurmountable. It's not over until the checkered flag drops.
Indeed, the tension is high as Peter Geldenhuys tries to reel in Sean Olivier. But Sean Olivier is not making it easy, maintaining a consistent pace. Can Peter Geldenhuys find some extra pace to bring the fight to Sean Olivier?
It's neck and neck, the closest battle we've seen in a while.
These two are putting on a masterclass in precision driving. Every turn, every acceleration, calculated to perfection.
The gap between Ernest Heather and Ruben Duplessis is razor thin as they vie for 11th in this nail-biting contest.
This is what makes motor racing so exciting. The tension is high and the stakes are even higher. Who will take home the victory? It's too close to call.
The gap between Ryan Ludick in 7th and Michel Rust remains over a second, but Ryan Ludick is not letting up. They're pushing hard and looking for any opportunity to close that gap up. Can they pull it back in the remaining 12 minutes?
It's moments like these that make motorsports so exciting. We're witnessing a battle of skill and strategy between two great drivers, with Ryan Ludick in 7th determined to catch up. But we know Michel Rust isn't just going to hand it to them on a plate. Ryan Ludick is going to have to take it. It should be an interesting battle to watch as long as they can close that gap.
Oh, this is getting intense. Michel Rust is just behind Ryan Ludick. Chris Foley is running 9th. They're trying to catch JJ Dearden. Things are heating up as Dylan Visagi tries to close the gap to Chantel de Jager. This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. JP Brand is chasing Ernest Heather in P13. The race is really heating up. Chris Foley is hunting down JJ Dearden with everything they've got. The intensity is off the charts as JP Brand hounds Ernest Heather, both drivers pushing themselves to the absolute limit. It's looking good for JP Brand, who has gained places and put some distance between themselves and Ernest Heather.
Yes, but they have to keep pushing hard. This race is far from over, and anything can happen. JP Brand needs to stay focused and keep driving with skill and determination.
Annie, what's the impact of tire degradation on race strategy? How does it affect a driver's approach to the race?
Tire degradation plays a crucial role in race strategy, Mark. Teams and drivers have to consider the optimal time to pit for fresh tires and adjust their race pace to balance speed with tire conservation. It adds another layer of complexity to the racing challenge.
And Michelle Rust is having to make that Legends Ford 34 Coupe as wide as possible to try and keep Ryan Ludig behind them.
Yeah, I really can't see them holding on to this place for much longer.
The action is non-stop as Ryan Ludig shadows Michelle Rust through every twist and turn, determined to claim sixth.
The chase between Ryan Ludig and Michelle Rust is like a high-speed game of tag only. The stakes are much higher.
This is what racing is all about. Two fierce competitors pushing each other to the limit. And Jean Massou has just won the place from Chris Foley.
Yes, but Jean Massou can't rest on their laurels. They have to keep pushing to consolidate their position.
Even though Ernest Heather is a fair way behind Chantal de Jager, they can't afford to let their guard down. Chantal de Jager is still vulnerable to mistakes.
Absolutely, and on the other side of the equation, Ernest Heather can't afford to let up. They have to drive with intensity and focus, and wait for any opportunity to arise.
The crowd is on their feet, roaring with excitement. It's an all-out war between these three drivers. Who will emerge victorious? Your guess is as good as mine.
Absolutely, Mark. The energy in the crowd is electric, and it's no wonder why. These drivers are leaving it all on the track, fighting tooth and nail for victory. It's anyone's guess who will come out on top.
No room for error here. Michelle Rust is breathing down the neck of Evan Liu, waiting for the perfect chance to make their move.
Should things go awry, Michelle Rust and Evan Liu might find themselves giving a whole new meaning to the term tandem drifting, though I doubt they'd enjoy it as much as the spectators.
Hold on a second. Looks like that's a mistake from Evan Liu. This could be costly.
It's a real shame. Until this point in the race, they'd been looking at a decent result.
It's a battle of wills out there, with Sean Olivier trying to outsmart and outmaneuver Danny Van Ruyen. The gap is slowly closing, but time is running out. Will we see a dramatic finish to this race? This is what high-octane racing looks like. Dylan Visagi is breathing down the neck of Chris Foley, not giving them any room to relax.
As an experienced driver, I can tell you that Dylan Visagi must be laser-focused on Chris Foley's every move, looking for the slightest weakness to exploit.
A great moment for Dylan Visagi, who has just gained a place and moved up the standings.
Yes, Dylan Visagi is driving with real focus and precision, and it's paying off.
Looks like we've had a few incidents out there.
Someone forgot to take their driving lessons. They're making more U-turns than a confused tourist.
Hilarious. I think they might need to call their GPS for directions. Maybe it can help them navigate the track. It doesn't seem like things are going to plan for Sean Olivier as they have a big gap ahead of them to close at this point in time. Good news for Sean Olivier, the gap to Danny Van Ruyen has decreased. It's now down to 0.8 seconds. We've certainly seen some of the drivers get it wrong today.
Anyone lost can just follow the trail of skid marks. I hear it's the latest form of GPS navigation.
Let's hope the other drivers don't follow suit. We might end up with a bumper car race instead of a high-speed competition.
At least we'd have something to fall back on if we ever get bored of regular racing. Bumper cars might be the next big thing.
The tension is building as JP Brand trails behind Chris Foley. The gap is slowly but surely decreasing, and the pressure is mounting. Can Chris Foley hold on, or will JP Brand be able to close them down?
It's going to be tough for JP Brand, as Chris Foley seems to have found their rhythm. But anything can happen in racing, and we've seen JP Brand pull off some impressive moves before. I'm excited to see if they can make it happen again.
It's a classic case of chasing down the car ahead for Sean Olivier, who is currently in P3. But Danny Van Ruyen is not making it easy, and the gap remains over a second. This will require some expert driving from Sean Olivier.
This is where experience comes into play. Danny Van Ruyen has been in this position before and knows how to defend their position. But Sean Olivier is hungry for success and won't give up easily. Will we see a clash of the titans?
JP Brand is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift. These drivers are walking a tightrope between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely. It's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving. That's where experience and skill come into play.
Chris Foley wants to find a way round JP Brand. It's like watching two predators circling each other, waiting for the perfect moment to pounce.
At this rate, Sean Olivier and Danny Van Ruyen are so close, they could share a cup of tea and a biscuit.
Sean Olivier has got their head down now, working those exits and apexes and setting their best lap time so far with a 1 minute.
They are certainly in the flow, but they may have to improve further if they want to hold on to third.
As a former driver, Annie, how did you manage the physical demands of racing?
It's all about preparation, Mark. Drivers undergo rigorous fitness training to build their strength, stamina, and flexibility. A proper diet and hydration plan is also essential to ensure peak performance on race day.
It's looking good for Jean Massou, sitting in 7th.
That's right, they can't afford to make any mistakes or let up in their performance. Every point counts in this championship.
The race is heating up as Sean Olivier in 3rd closes in on Danny Van Ruyen. The gap is just over a second, and I'm sure they are going to do everything possible to try and close the distance. They're not giving up without a fight. Sean Olivier is not able to keep their pace consistent. So far they're 0.59 seconds down.
Can Sean Olivier refocus and start putting in the lap times we know they are capable of?
A solid performance from Ryan Ludick, who is holding down 5th. It's a close race between Sean Olivier and Danny Van Ruyen in 2nd. It's not going to plan for Sean Olivier. They are still behind Danny Van Ruyen and the gap is increasing. I don't think they have an answer for this right now. Well, it doesn't look like Peter Geldenhuys is going to be much of a threat to anyone soon, let alone Sean Olivier. Looks like Sean Olivier is really pushing it to the limit. They're taking those curves aggressively, but that can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curve can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer. It's all about finding the right balance between speed and control. Sometimes you have to take risks to win, but pushing the car too hard can be a costly mistake. Sean Olivier needs to be careful not to overdo it.
The gap between Chris Foley and Ernest Heather is pretty substantial right now. It's probably going to take a mistake from Chris Foley to even allow Ernest Heather to get a look in. The tension is high. Who will come out on top in this epic showdown? It's not looking good for Sean Olivier. They're still behind Danny Van Ruyen and the gap is increasing. They're gonna need to dig a bit deeper to turn this around.
This is where the mental toughness of Sean Olivier comes into play. They need to stay focused and keep pushing, even when things aren't going their way.
Things don't seem to be going JP Brand's way in this race, as that's a big gap they'll have to close to even be in with a shout for gaining a place here. Sean Olivier wants to get into Danny Van Ruyen's slipstream. That won't be ideal for Ruben Duplessis.
Did the wind contribute to that? It's blowing at 4 kph out there right now.
It looks like Sean Olivier is pushing hard to catch up to Danny Van Ruyen. The gap is over a second, but Sean Olivier is not giving up just yet. Can they close the distance and make a move on Danny Van Ruyen? As we come into the final moments of this epic race, Sra Stadler is in the lead. Can they stay calm and bring home the bacon? The leader has just finished the race. A fantastic result for Sra Stadler.
What a display of skill and precision.
Some might say that second place is the first loser, but Danny Van Ruyen certainly doesn't see it that way. They put in a phenomenal effort and should be proud of their impressive result.
Intense race, but Danny Van Ruyen held their nerve and earned a great second place.
What a race from Sean Olivier, showing their skill and determination for a great third-place finish. Peter Geldenhuys, Michel Rust, Jean Massou, and Dylan Visagi take 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. Followed by JP Brand, Ryan Ludick, Chris Foley, and Ernest Heather in 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. Evan Liu and Chantal de Jager in 12th and 13th. In 14th, it's Justin Vermeulen.